Human reproductive system. Gonads. In males, the gonads are called testes, and these are the testes. There are two. And so you're looking at a side view here. You can see the bladder here and the urethra here. Here are the testes, and there's just a bunch of tubes really. So the sperm are made here, and the sperm travel through these tubes to get out of the body. So anyway, it's a side view, so there's just one shown here, but there are two testes. And same thing in females. This is a front view, so you can see the ovaries are these structures. And so testes make sperm and ovaries make eggs. So these make sperm or eggs. Sex hormones are needed. And so it's testosterone in males and both estrogen and progesterone for females. There's a certain amount of testosterone in females and a certain amount of estrogen in males, but it's the balance and the amounts. And so there's much more testosterone in males and much more estrogen and progesterone in females. So sex hormones play a role in the development and function of the reproductive organs. So they're important in fetal development and at puberty and pretty much any time after that. They're important for sexual behavior and sex drives, and for the growth and development of many other organs and tissues, the secondary sexual characteristics. So we'll look at the male reproductive system first. The male gonads, or the testes, produce sperm, and they lie within the scrotum. So the scrotum is the sac that holds the testes. The sperm are delivered to the exterior through a system of ducts. So there's the epididymis, which is here, and that's where the sperm develop the ability to move and mature. And then there's the ductus deferens, also called the vas deferens, and so the sperm travel through here. And then the ejaculatory duct is this little tube, and then this is called the urethra. The urethra is the tube that both urine from the bladder and semen from the testes and the glands travel through when they leave the body. So other sex glands like the seminal vesicles here, there are two of those, and the prostate gland, which is this, there's just one of those, and it surrounds the urethra and the ejaculatory duct. And then the bulbal urethral glands, which I don't know if I see them, I guess that's those, also called Cowper's glands. Anyway, they produce fluid, which with the sperm together are called semen. Okay, female reproductive system in human development. Ovaries make gametes, which we call either ova or eggs. And so this is a cross section. And so here's an ovary. Here's a section from the front. And so if you're looking at it from the front, you've got the two ovaries. And then this is just a ligament to hold the ovaries. So this is the fallopian tube or the oviduct or the uterine tube. Anyway, so the egg leaves here and is taken up here and travels through here. Fertilization actually happens here. And then implantation or development of the fetus happens in the uterus. The bottom part of the uterus is called the cervix, and then here's the vagina that the offspring travels in, to get out of the body. Here's a cross section. So here's the rectum, here's the bladder, the urinary bladder, and the urethra. And then, so here's the ovary, where there should be two, but the other one's cut out. And it makes the egg, which travels this way down the uterine tube into the uterus, and then here's the cervix and the vagina. So the interesting thing here, one of the interesting things, is that there's a different tube in females for urine versus the reproductive system, which is not true with males. So when the egg's released by the ovary, it's called ovulation. So that happens once a month roughly, and here's an egg developing, and so you have several eggs developing each month, but typically only one is released. If you have 2 or 3 released, you could have twins or triplets. That's one of the ways that twins or triplets are made. And so here's the egg developing, and it just makes this bigger and bigger and bigger follicle. And finally, when it ruptures, it's not really, well, anyway, finally when it ruptures, it should hopefully be taken up here by the uterine tube and travel this way. Fertilization takes place in the fallopian tubes or the uterine tubes or the oviducts. So those are just different names for this. So if the unfertilized egg makes it all the way to here, it's not going to get fertilized. It's too late then. So the egg has to get fertilized in here. And fertilization, by definition, it's when the egg and the sperm unite. And so here's a couple of sperm trying to make it through. This one's made it through. At that point, there's a chemical reaction that takes place on the outside of the egg, and it should close off the ability for any other sperm to get inside. And these are just other cells that are protecting the egg. So the function of fertilization is to bring the haploid nuclei from the sperm and the egg together to form a diploid zygote. And so you've got a sperm that's haploid and an egg that's haploid, and you put them together and you get a diploid zygote. So for humans, that means 23 chromosomes plus 23 chromosomes. So 23 from the egg, 23 from the sperm, give you 46 chromosomes in the zygote. If you're a chimpanzee, it would be 24 plus 24 gives you 48. If you're a mouse, it would be 10 plus 10. Is that right? No, I'm sorry. It would be 20 plus 20 gives you 40. And so anyway, the idea is they're all different numbers depending on the species, but this part is true. One set plus one set gives you two sets. Haploid plus haploid gives you diploid. So a zygote is a fertilized egg, so that's just another definition for you to memorize. Yay! So after fertilization, the zygote starts dividing. So to make the egg, you had to do meiosis. And to make the sperm, you had to do meiosis. But these, once you have the zygote, when the cells divide, that's actually just mitosis. Right? You've got your 46 chromosomes here, and when they do mitosis, you've got 46 and 46, and then they do mitosis again, and you've got 46 and 46, and then you do mitosis again and again and again. So each of these cells should have 46. And this mitosis is kind of interesting because the cells don't grow in between the mitosis and the cytokinesis. So you've got big cells here that end up being little cells eventually. So is this one mitosis or meiosis? And so what you can see here is a single cell, and then it divides. Look at that. And then it divides again. So that one's just mitosis. And next, the embryo implants in the uterus. So you can see the developing embryo. So here's the zygote, and it's doing mitosis, more mitosis. This is an interesting part. When this part comes in, this is actually the part that's going to become the fetus, and all of this is the helping stuff. So the placenta, the sac, all the stuff that will help the baby to develop. So that's this inner cell mass, it's called. Anyway, when that implants, when the whole thing implants, then there's the pregnancy. I guess, how should I define this? So that's when, if this were not able to implant, then the fetus wouldn't be able to develop. So here's the zygote becoming an embryo, and that's 25 days and 36 days. And here's the 8-week stage. And the embryo becomes a fetus at, is it 20 weeks? No, I think it's at 3 months, which would be 4, 8, 12. I think it's at 12 weeks it's considered a fetus. Anyway, that was just a cute picture, so I put that one in. Okay, twins. You don't need to know anything about twins, but usually kids are really curious about it, so I'm telling you a little bit about twins. So fraternal twins, that's when two eggs are released by the ovaries and fertilized by the sperm. So the twins are not genetically identical. So this tends to run in families, the fraternal twins. And it also happens to moms that are older rather than younger. Identical twins, one egg is fertilized, but it splits during early mitosis, and the twins are genetically identical. So let me go backwards a little bit here. Backwards a lot, I guess. Okay, so that inner cell mass, either the cells can do their first mitosis and then split apart, and you get identical twins, or if you have an inner cell mass and for some reason the signal didn't get to the other side, maybe they both started at exactly the same time. If you have two areas with an inner cell mass, you can also get identical twins. So let's go back. So here's identical twins. So this one's identical. You have one cell, and then there's a 2-cell stage. Here you can see you have two inner masses coming in. And so in this case, the babies both came from one fertilized egg, and so they have the same DNA. Um, so those are identical twins. And in this case, mom just happened to release two eggs. And so you have siblings, brothers or sisters, that happen to be in the uterus at the same time, but they're no more closely related genetically than any other brothers and sisters. And so these are identical twins. So cute. And these are fraternal twins. So cute too. Reproductive system of flowering plants. So the flower is the reproductive part. And the structure of a flower is here. So the boy parts make the pollen, which is the sperm, so that's this part. And the girl parts make the eggs, which is this part. So the pistil is the girl part and the stamen is the boy part. And if you notice this, by the way, this plant has girl parts and boy parts. Cool, huh? So, whoops, it's just another picture of it. So here are the eggs, and here's sorry, here's the pollen or the sperm. So the life cycle of a flowering plant, you've got the anther with the sperm and the ovaries here. So you can either self-pollinate or another, maybe a bee or the wind or whatever can bring, or a hummingbird, whatever, can bring pollen from another plant to fertilize these. And so anyway, the pollen comes here and it actually grows down. It's a little bit different from sperm in that there are a few more cells. So these cells actually have to grow down in this tube to fertilize the eggs. And so once they do, here you have the embryo growing. And so here are the seeds, the potential new plant. And so here's the ovary or the fruit. And then anyway, that seed is going to be planted maybe and grow up into a brand new organism. And that's the end of the story.